Hey everyone, this is David Pike, the Motorcity Mechanic. Today's video is going to be on a 2005 through 2007 Chrysler 300s, Dodge Magnums, and Dodge Chargers for the shifter will not come out of park concern. I'm going to show you what you can do to get the vehicle into gear so you can drive it either home to a repair shop. I'm also going to show you what you need to do the repair so that way you can take care of it yourself. Check it out. So the first thing I want to do is I want to show you how to get it out of park. That way if you need to drive it somewhere, home, repair shop, you'll be able to get it out of park without having to call a wrecker. So we're going to kind of do this with that mindset. We're going to use what we have available. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver no matter what. Otherwise you can probably get by with a few little things you can find somewhere in the car or maybe on your keychains to gain access to the part to get it out. I'm going to show you step by step what you need to do that so we can get you back on the road. You don't need to be broke down in the grocery store, driveway at the house, or maybe somewhere you're not supposed to be. So just follow the steps. We'll get this car moving again. So as you already know, you've got the key on, you hit the brakes, shifter does not want to come out. As always, the common issue with these usually is that shift interlock inside, the mechanism with the spring brakes. There's an override on the side, but the override that you access over here has nothing to do with the shift interlock. It has to do with the actual gear shifter going through the slots. If the shift interlock was working fine, you'd be able to move it over, and then once you released it, you'd be able to move the shifter down. Well, the shift interlock, the one that breaks, does not have an override, so you've got to gain access to the shifter mechanism to get it out of gear without forcing it and breaking it. So what we need to do, we need to get the trim off of this. So we're going to basically do this, for example, if you're broke down in a shopping center, can't get it out of gear. So what we're going to start out with is we need to get the coin tray. There's a rubber liner right here we're going to get out. We're going to get that out first. There's 2 Phillips screws behind there. And then we're going to work on popping this trim up so that we can get to the mechanism to at least get it out of gear so we can drive it to a repair shop or back home. So we got that little piece right here, the coin holder, whatever you want to call it. We need to get the rubber liner out. I'm just going to use a trim stick, or if you got anything pointy, it could be a pair of keys, whatever. Because remember, we're doing this on the side of the road or in a parking lot. I want to get that out of the way. Once I get that out of the way, I've got 2 Phillips screws. I got one here and here. So you will need a screwdriver for this no matter what. Don't worry about the ashtray opening. That's going to be fine. Push it back up. Now, we got to get this chrome trim off around the shifter. Using my trim stick or anything you got, once again, work your way around. Now, this piece actually snaps in. We got the screws out of the way. So what we need to do, we need to get around the edge, grab it however you can, and start popping it up. Get it out of the way. Now, we've got access to the shifter and getting to a couple of the components that we need to get to, mainly on the driver's side front corner where the shifter interlock is. So here's your shifter knob. Here's the shifter, of course, it trims out. You look inside the console opening, you got a shift interlock cable. This is the piece that where it attach a portion of it breaks. Now shift interlock prevents you from moving the shifter unless you've got both the key turned as well as the brake pedal depressed. So I've got both on right now, and of course shifter won't come out. Now what I need to do is I need to follow this cable. I'm going to follow the cable where it goes up under the shifter. It goes to about this location up under. I'm going to just use my hands. Use a finger. Let me get down in there. When I push back on that mechanism, you'll see the cable move as well as the shifter. Now I can actually get it out of gear, apart, and I can go into gear, reverse, neutral drive. I can drive it where I need to, home, repair shop, whatever, and put it back in park. Now leave the trim off in case you need to stop multiple places for some reason, so you can get it back out of park again, push in, and there you go. So what we'll do next is work on getting the shifter assembly out, and I'll show you the piece that breaks, and I'll show you the piece that we push on, and we'll also do the repair. Now there was a recall that applied to the shifter on these vehicles. Now not every vehicle built had the recall. This particular one did not. It was based off of the year, the month, and the day it was built. There was an area that was narrowed down. The vehicles they thought were pertained to this recall. Now the ones outside of that did not get done and were not related to a recall. But that doesn't make those immune to the same problem, which is what this one's having. We've got a piece that's broke off inside the shifter. We need to go ahead and remove the shifter, gain access to it, take it apart, and show you what you need to replace. I'm going to recommend you do is go to eBay. eBay, you can find the part for approximately $8 all day long with free shipping. Part number 6808 8259 AB as in Alpha Bravo. Now that we're going to be having the vehicle repaired, we can use our basic tools, trim stick, stuff like that. We're going to get in here and just pop it loose. Both sides. There we go. Now you do have some electrical connectors on the back. You do have each one of the heated seat switches. You're also going to have an outlet for the cigarette lighter. You need to unplug that. Just push in on both the locks, the seat heaters, and then the one lock on the power outlet. Now we can pick up the switch and get out of the way. Here you go. Here's your seat heater switches and also the power outlet, which is the cigarette lighter on this one. Now the front of the console, where it mounts up to the dash, there's two Phillips screws, one here, one here. We need to back those out. That's what holds the console in place on the front. And of course we got the bolts inside the console lid. So that's what we needed up front to get loose. So now we need to get to the bolts that hold the back of the console down. Now they're inside the storage compartment. So if it's a customer's vehicle, make sure you take everything out nice and gently, put it somewhere and put it back as well. If it's yours, maybe it's time for you to clean this thing out. I'm going to go ahead and set everything off to the side so that I can get to the 8mm bolts that are at the bottom of this. And once I got everything out, this has a plastic or slash rubber liner in the bottom of it. All I'm going to do is grab it and pull it out. That's your liner. Now up under the liner is where we're going to be getting to the bolts. This has a total of 3 8mm bolts. We got 2 near the front here and we got 1 near the back driver's corner. We'll go ahead and start getting those out. And here's a view looking down into that console after I pull that rubber liner out. Like I said, these 3 right here are the 8mm we need to get out. Once we get those out, we just have to do one electrical connector on here, which is for this power outlet, and then we'll be able to slide the console back and out of here. Now that we've got the 2 screws out of the front of the console where it met the dash, and we've got the 3 8mm bolts out of the center console storage area, we're going to be able to lift up, pull back slightly and lift up. Now we just got to get to that electrical connector for the power outlet. You can reach from the front side if you need to. Locate it, squeeze it, and unplug it. There we go. Now all I got to do is just lift up, grab the console and put it outside the vehicle so I got a little more room to work. Now the shifter is bolted to the floor with a total of 4 10mm nuts. There's 1 in each one of the corners. Now the one on the passenger front has the shifter cable kind of in the way, so once we get the shifter cable off, then we can worry about getting that nut out. You got the rest of them all the way around the perimeter. Now you got a couple of electrical connectors you got to get loose. You've got one right here where this white connector is. You got to unplug, and then you got one that actually goes to the module on the shifter right here. This one has 2. Some of them may have just 1, some may have 3. It just depends. This particular one has 2. So we'll work on getting that other connector off, and then I'll show you about the shifter interlock cable, removing it, and the shifter cable. And then last will be the 4 nuts, and we'll get this shifter out of the way. Now we're on the passenger side looking at the shifter. Here's the shifter cable. We need to get it released from its mounting piece right here. It's actually just a pressed on kind of a rubber bushing going over to a mounting boss, and you need to make sure it's all the way in park. Here's actually the adjustment for the shifter cable. We're not going to be messing with that as well, so we'll leave that alone. Now we need to get back behind here, wedge something behind the shifter cable and the shifter, and pull. And there we go. I've got the cable off. Now that I've got the cable loose from the shifter, I now need to get the cable off the front where it's routed. Much like that shifter interlock cable locked onto the shifter, so does the shifter cable. We got it loose from the linkage, now we got to get it loose from the body of the shifter assembly.